Today, we're diving into a really critical decision that farmers in Nepal are facing right now. For a long time, the path to growing your farm seemed pretty straightforward. But today, technology has presented a major fork in the road, pitting a classic symbol of agricultural progress against a completely new way of doing business. And this isn't just about what piece of equipment to use. It's a much bigger strategic choice. It's about two totally different economic philosophies. Do you sink your capital into an asset you own, or do you pay for flexible access to a service? This one decision could really shape the future of a farm, and maybe even Nepal's entire agricultural sector. So let's break it down. First up, we're going to explore the core issue, something we're calling Nepal's productivity paradox. Then we'll weigh the pros and cons of the traditional tractor, both buying it and renting it. After that, we'll contrast it with the revolutionary services that drones bring to the table. From there, we'll give you a clear framework for how to make the right choice. And finally, we'll look ahead and see why the future might be all about access, not ownership. Okay, so to really get why this tractor versus drone question is so important, you first have to understand the immense economic pressure that Nepalese farmers are dealing with. Think about this for a second. Agriculture is the absolute foundation of Nepalese society. A staggering 62% of all households in the country make their living from it. But here's the paradox. Even with that many people working the land, agriculture's slice of the national GDP has shrunk all the way down to just 24%. That massive gap, all that human effort for a relatively small economic return, that's the heart of the problem we're talking about. And when you start asking why, you see it's kind of this perfect storm of issues. Labor productivity's low, the land itself is broken up into tiny pieces. 3/4 of all plots are smaller than a single hectare. On top of that, there's a huge labor shortage because young people are moving to the cities. And that leads to this tragic situation where perfectly good, fertile land is just sitting there, completely unused. This is the crisis that new technology has to solve. So the first and most obvious solution to these problems is mechanization, and the tractor is the symbol of that. But right away, even this quote-unquote simple path splits into two very, very different financial strategies. On one side, you have the investment strategy. You buy the tractor. That's a capital expenditure, or what we call a CapEx model. It means a huge upfront cost and taking on debt, but hey, you're in complete control. On the other side, you have the operating expense strategy. You just rent the gear when you need it. That's the OpEx model. It's super flexible, low risk to get started, but it does mean you're depending on someone else. Right, so just to make sure we're all on the same page, CapEx is that big one-time spend on a physical thing like a tractor. OpEx is the regular, ongoing costs you pay to run your business, like a rental fee. And honestly, understanding this difference is the key to this whole decision. Now, for an individual farmer, that CapEx path, the ownership path, is a really steep climb. The costs are just enormous. A basic power tiller can run you up to 250,000 Nepalese rupees. If you get a loan, you're taking on debt with interest rates between 9 and 11%. And those government subsidies you hear about, well, they tend to go to the big cooperatives, not the individual farmer. So if ownership is a blocked path for so many people, what's the alternative? Well, it involves a pretty big leap, both in the technology you use and in your business model. And this is where agricultural drones come in. See, drones introduce this idea of farming as a service. The farmer isn't buying a product anymore. They're hiring a precision service to do a specific job, like spraying crops. This completely transforms what would have been a massive capital expense into a simple, predictable operating expense. And the efficiency gains you get from this are just staggering. I mean, look at this. By using a superfine mist, a drone can slash water use by up to 90%. For a country that relies on unpredictable monsoon rains, saving that much water is an absolute game changer. And the benefits just keep stacking up. You end up using 25 to 30% less fertilizer and pesticide. A drone can cover an entire acre in just 5 to 7 minutes, which directly attacks that labor shortage problem. Precision like that can boost your yield by up to 20%. And maybe most importantly, the service model makes all this amazing tech accessible without that massive 1.7 million rupee price tag of owning one. Okay, so we've laid out two very different but very viable paths. How does a farmer, thinking like a business manager, actually make the right call for their own farm? Well, the answer is in a clear, data-driven framework. The decision really comes down to 4 key questions. First, What does your land look like? Are you working on huge, flat plains that are perfect for a tractor, or on small, terraced hillsides? Second, what are you growing? Is it labor-intensive grains or high-margin vegetables? Third, what's your access to cash? Are you on your own, or are you part of a co-op that can get subsidies? And finally, how badly is that labor shortage hitting your bottom line? All right, let's crunch the numbers for a walk-behind tractor. If you own one, you're looking at a fixed cost of about 47,000 Nepalese rupees every year, no matter what. Now compare that to renting. 100 hours of use will cost you 40,000. So you can see the break-even point is right around 120 hours of use per year. If you need it for less than that, renting is simply the smarter financial decision. Now, when we look at the drone, the numbers tell a really interesting story. If you just look at the direct out-of-pocket costs per hectare, manual spraying and using a drone service look almost identical. It's basically a tie. But that's missing the real story. The drone's true value isn't about matching costs on a spreadsheet. It's about everything the numbers don't show. It's the value of perfect timing for spraying, of better quality application, of reducing health risks for the farmer, and, of course, the massive amount of time you save. That's the stuff that prevents crop loss and really drives up your profit. And this all brings us to our final strategic conclusion. This is about the future direction of ag tech, not just in Nepal, but probably everywhere. What this all points to is one central idea. For the vast majority of farmers, the future isn't about owning complicated, expensive machines. It's about accessing them. These pay-per-use models make amazing technology available to everyone, and they turn what used to be a huge financial risk into a predictable, manageable business expense. This creates a profound opportunity for a country like Nepal. Instead of getting bogged down trying to copy the expensive, capital-heavy mechanization model of the 20th century, a model that doesn't even really fit its landscape, it has the chance to leapfrog. It can jump directly to a 21st century service economy built on data, precision, and flexibility. So we leave you with this question. By choosing access over ownership, by embracing these flexible service-based technologies like drones, can Nepal's agricultural sector actually skip an entire generation of development? Can it transform what has been an economic struggle into a new engine for modern, efficient growth? The framework is there, the technology is there, and the choice is now in the hands of its farmers.